Hey, look who's on top of it this month. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Britt. I'm an author, actor, director, producer, dog mom, cat mom, lizard mom, all around geek. And welcome to another one of my writing updates. I feel like we only just talked about July and August because we did, but I'm trying to make these the second Thursday of every month, so let's go. We're gonna talk about how things went in September for me. Let me tell you, it was an interesting ride. Very interesting ride. So I started out the month still writing the first draft of The Unwritten Rules of Having Fans, like we talked about last month. So I finished The Unwritten Rules of Having Fans on September 5th. Now normally I will move on to the next draft of Price Check on Love or my other projects. I'm always working on 2 projects at a time, kind of. The series is kind of throwing things off because obviously I'm writing all those first drafts first, but generally that's the way it's gone, is I wrote a draft of the Unwritten Rules series, then I did a draft of Price Check on Love and continued that round. But my editor still had Price Check on Love at this point, so that was a no-go. I immediately jumped into The Unwritten Rules of Selling the Lie, which is the 5th book in the series. I started that knowing that I was gonna have a hard stop on it as soon as my editor was ready to give me back my book. I had talked to my editor a few days prior to my birthday, which was September 12th, and it sounded like I was gonna have the book back on my birthday, which I'm like, great birthday present. Unfortunately, however, that got delayed to the 17th. So I got my book back on the 17th, which meant the 16th is when I put the hard stop on Selling the Lie. So I wrote from the 6th to the 16th for that book and then immediately jumped into editing Price Check on Love. So my editor found some pretty decent issues with Price Check on Love because that's what editors do. That's literally their job, to try and make your work even better. So she found some weaker points in the story which I had to elaborate on or change or whatever, and I made some really good changes. I had some really hefty word count days that I actually counted outside of like the average that I normally do. So on the 20th I wrote 1,713 words into Price Check on Love, and then the 21st I did the same thing, only it was 1,660 words, and then jump forward to the 25th I wrote 773 words. I included all the rest of the days into the average, so I'm not sure exactly how many words I wrote each day, but there were a couple of days that I actually wrote negative words, at least one for sure that I remember, where basically I wrote negative words, meaning I actually took away from the novel because there were some elements that just didn't need to be there. I explained something more than once and things like that. And so again, that's one of the big reasons why it's really nice to have a second pair of eyes on your novel, so you can have somebody else tell you what your blind spots are. And that's definitely what happened. Let me know in the comments below if you would like to see a whole video about why I think that it's one of the most important investments you can make in your writing career to hire an editor if you're an independent author. Let me know. That edit ended up taking me a decent amount of time because again, I was really redoing a lot of little elements to it, which meant I had to change certain things. It wasn't as big of a change as what my beta reader feedback ended up making, where an entire character had to be introduced midway through the book because of certain things that happened. So it wasn't that big of a change where I had to like go and actively change a lot going forward, but enough that there were some pretty significant changes, which again is only going to make this book even better, which is the whole point of having your alpha reader, your beta readers, your editor all go through it. So it took me from the 17th until the 29th to get through that whole draft, which was a lot. It took me a total of 13 days, nearly 2 weeks to get through that draft. Really, that was the rest of my September until I was able, the final day, to return to Selling the Lie, which is what I'm working on now. But we'll talk about October next month. Because it was an editing month, like I said last month, I have significantly less word count months those months because I'm editing. So I'm not actively writing new words, so I don't get up to the thousands every single day like I do when I'm writing, 1,000 or 2,000 a day like I do when I'm writing something brand new, writing a first draft. I wrote a total of 26,764 words over the course of September, which I think is fantastic. I think that's a really good word count, very on par for a lot of my other editing months. Price Check on Love is almost done. It is with my editor again now for one final proofread. So there will be a few days, hopefully in October, that I will be going through that feedback and possibly changing a couple of other things or fixing up a couple of sentences or things like that. But for the most part, Price Check on Love is pretty much finished and we'll be heading to formatters. So I'm very excited. We'll talk about that process hopefully next month because pre-orders are also going live this month. I really got to get my crap together and get it done. Granted, I can put something in wait as long as I have the final document uploaded by release day. But technically what people will be pre-ordering if they pre-order is literally just a PDF page of being like, coming soon. Who knows, maybe I'll put deep water back in there. That is all I have for you this writing update. Let me know in the comments below. Like I said, if you want to know like my kind of standpoint of like why I think it's crucial to invest in an editor, let me know in the comments below, and I'll see y'all next month with another writing update, plus some fun little videos here and there. Check out my short form, but also a couple long form ones that are coming out. So I'll see you all next time. Bye!